Welcome to your Capricorn horoscopes for the last week of March, the 24th through the 30th. And officially, the week we go into the shadow period of the first Mercury retrograde of the year, which is in Aries. It's a full Aries Mercury retrograde this year. Starts about the 2nd of April, which means we could very well have the moon in Capricorn interacting with it in a very challenging way as the retrograde is starting. Looking at it, it's definitely highly possible, but there's a slim chance the moon will get out of there before that happens. You might just have a near miss there. Without that influence, not much to influence Capricorn this week. Focus continues to be on relationships, and Ceres continues to influence things in your relationships, specifically talking about nurturing and care and self-care. While we're focused on relationships, this is really kind of weird to bring self-care into this, but it's not at the same time. Every Capricorn that I've ever known has been on one end of an extreme or another. They're either extremely self-centered and it's all about them. I've seen less of those than I've seen the other side, which is they are extremely giving and it's all about everybody but them. And that's more, I've seen more Capricorns like that than I have seen the ones that tend to be more self-centered. And that has to do with a lot of different variables, don't get me wrong. But for the most part, Capricorns are givers and they take care of everybody. My Capricorn grandmother in her 91 years, she's literally taking care of everybody in the family and uncomplainingly. But she also has not put a whole lot into herself because of it, because she's so focused on taking care of everybody else. It's a wonderful sacrifice, but we have to ask ourselves sometimes, is it a necessary sacrifice? In some cases, yes. If you are taking care of a sick family member or somebody that can't take care of themselves, obviously it's a wonderful sacrifice. If you're taking care of somebody who just keeps getting themselves in trouble and doesn't seem to know how to keep themselves out of getting in trouble, that's a problem. And now you're quite possibly going into enabling status rather than caretaking. And then there is self-care. What does self-care have to do with any of this? Well, it has a lot to do, because one thing about Capricorns that I have noticed is that self-care is not top priority on their list. Everybody else's care is top priority, but not me. And that's really a bummer, not just because you deserve self-care, but because you're putting all of the people around you in a position to rely on somebody who's not taking care of themselves well enough to be able to continue to do that. It's a vicious cycle. Two things about that. One, if you are the sacrifice yourself type of Capricorn, what that means is that there's quite possibly feelings, underlying feelings that are driving this bus, telling you that you don't deserve to be taken care of. That's why you have to sacrifice your time on everybody else. On the flip side of that, ignoring your own self-care and your own needs and placing other people's needs, wants, and care before yours is a noble thing to do, but it also doesn't teach them the right way. So, for instance, as a child growing up with a Capricorn who took very good care of me and gave me pretty much everything that I wanted most of the time. I was extremely spoiled by this woman. Um, as a child, what I learned was if I was cute and if I asked nicely, and I would get whatever I wanted. And there was this sort of unending supply of money for her to be able to provide that for me. What I wasn't seeing was how hard she worked, was how much she sacrificed of her own needs and wants in order to spoil me in the way that I wished to be spoiled at the time. As an adult growing up, I did see things differently. However, I was still in the mindset of this woman will give me whatever I want because she loves me. And at 47 years old, that mentality is still there a little bit. No, I'm not taking advantage of it. Of course, I would never do that in a million years. But that mentality, even though physically I can see that that's not a possibility, that mentality is still there. It's what she planted in there. And there was no bad intentions there. But she also taught me that I should sacrifice myself for other people over and over again because that's what she did. And that she also taught me that I don't deserve to keep any of the things that I worked so hard for because they should go to other people. Now, when you have a family and you have people that you're responsible for, I highly agree with that. But would you believe that when those kids grow up, you will still be sacrificing for them because your mindset is still stuck on sacrificing. Think about it. It just keeps on going. And we don't teach people with what we say. My grandmother has taught me a lot of things by telling me how to do these things. Those things are not as cemented in my mind as her actions always were, and who she was in terms of the actions that she chose to take. So my vision of her as a Capricorn is different than her own vision of herself as a Capricorn because she doesn't think there's anything amazing about it at all. It's just what you're supposed to do in life, uncomplainingly, and that's fine. But self-care and nurturing of self is just as important. And you have to create a balance between what you give to others and what you provide for yourself as well. And there's nothing selfish and self-centered about that. Bottom line is that you never want to be on one end of the teeter-totter or the other. You never want to be on one extreme or the other. You want to meet somewhere in the middle. In the middle is balanced. In the middle gives you everything that you need and also provides you with the tools to give everything that you need to give. It works a lot better when things work symbiotically. And the results are you feel less worn out, stressed out, and being pulled in a million different directions. So that's what I have for you guys this week. If you love your horoscopes, do consider sending a tip or donation to my coffee link in the description of the video. Really appreciate that. Love the coffees. You guys are awesome. I'm Melissa Bruce, Heavy Metal Psychic, and I will see you guys next week. In the meantime, you guys make it a great week, and I'll see you next week.